Yes, yes, y'all. It is that time again. Time for your daily bread. This is the Daily Bread Project.com. I am your host, Mr. Jonathan Rivera. I don't know why I'm Mr. today. I feel official here. Feeling good, feeling happy, feeling powerful. Cannot wait to bring you the light. I have a guest scheduled, and I'm going to give him a moment to get on here because I just opened up the Zoom, and we will rock into this. Let me see what the date is. I got to write this out for myself to prepare. And let's see if Kevin's here yet. Not quite yet, but I know he will be here, and we will rock the Daily Bread Project.com for you. We go on Facebook live every day, 10 a.m. And I also put this up in iTunes. So if you're listening later on, thedailybreadproject.com is where you can get all the links, where you can see the videos, where any extra resources I have will be placed. Now, I don't see Kevin here yet, but I'm going to just look and make sure he hasn't messaged me or is not having some trouble getting in, because sometimes Zoom can be finicky. And I understand that. This whole live thing, oh, here he is. This whole live thing has been a learning curve for me. Here he is. So we are going to promote him to panelists. And if everything works well, we'll be able to go live on Facebook today. If not, we'll just make a recording. It looks like it's not behaving. Let's try that one more time. I'm going to get this thing going. Kevin, I know you can hear me, but it doesn't seem to want to promote you to panelists for some reason. This is a new one, Zoom. There he is. You there, sir?
I am.
How are you doing today?
I am doing very well for
All
some
right.
odd reason. Let's see here. You want audio, video, both? What are you looking for?
This is a video show, so if you're going to hide behind that
No?
picture of yourself,
Where should I don't see the control to let me.
they might not let you, man. They might not let you. I might just have to talk to a picture of you.
Man, I got up and cleaned up and everything for you.
Oh my gosh, you showered?
I know. It's not
I
even
feel
Saturday.
privileged. Let's see if I can change any of these controls here. For some reason, you're just coming in as an attendee, and I can't promote you to panelist today.
You want me to hop out and come back in?
Yeah, we can try that. Let me just try one more time. There we go. I hopped him out. I ejected him from the Zoom. It looks like we are live on Facebook. What is up, Facebooks? I have a damaging admission. I have no clue how to interact with you guys, and I bet these lives would be doing better if I actually knew how to interact, but I don't, and that's just the way it is. So it's showing you here, but if not, we're going to go audio, man. It just keeps booting him out. Oh, are you a panelist now?
I think I might be.
How about that?
Let's see what we got here.
Look at this guy.
Hey, how are you, man?
Awesome. We have conquered the Zoom robots. What is up? I'm going to bring us in. Like, this thing's been crazy. I'm learning a lot. So you are listening to the dailybreadproject.com. This is where we bring you light, leadership, power, love. I know I said them in the wrong order because I don't have my script in front of me, but you get the idea. This is the one place in the world where you're going to find positivity, where there's so much darkness, there's so much craziness and chaos. We want to bring you the light, and I cannot do it all by myself. That's why I have enlisted the help of some of my best friends in the world. And today I have Mr. Kevin Breeding. What is up, my man?
Hey, man, it is an honor to be here, enjoying what you're doing every day. Great job.
Oh, well, thank you. And I feel like I'm getting a second chance. I had you on the Daddy's Working show, and when the show came out, my mic wasn't hooked up, and I was so dang embarrassed because you sounded so good and I sounded so bad. Won't let that happen again, brother.
You know, you got to love tech.
It's been kicking my butt lately, but I you know what? I say you can't stop the J train. I'm going to show up, rain, sleet, snow, whatever. Doesn't matter.
That's it.
Kevin, what's good in your world, man?
Everything. I have to sit and say, I look at kind of how people are responding to what's going on, and it is almost like living in an alternate universe. I mean, I sit here and I see all the craziness, and yeah, I mean, my business has taken a hit on one side, and the other side of me just says, you know what, this is life, and this is what's happening, and me getting crazed or fretting or whatever is not going to do any good. So I just kind of keep my focus. It's funny. Um, I kind of go back and I look at it and say, I spent all this time several years ago kind of reinventing my mind and sort of thinking about how to tackle things differently. And for a season there, I was wondering what all that was for. And now I'm in a moment like today, and I'm like going, oh, yeah, this is no big deal. I mean, insanity everywhere else. Well, I'm okay. It's all good.
Wow. And we actually had James Pollard a couple weeks back, and he was talking about digging your well before you need water. And that's what I hear you saying. You were doing mental work, internal work, me work, getting yourself strong, but you didn't even know what you needed it for yet. So what was some of that work that you did?
The biggest thing for me is everything was a reaction rather than an intentional decision. Waking up and just kind of saying, this is for a reason. I may not understand what it is. It's funny. One of my clients, a guy actually, Dr. Rick Rigsby, he and I were talking the other day about a quote that's on an upcoming podcast for him. That it's a quote from Churchill that says, "Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision." And I think that is so incredibly clear and so poignant for today, because it's easy to get caught up in the insanity, and the other side is realizing all of that energy is going to result in nothing. All that worry, all that fretting, is not going to move you any closer to a better place. It's just kind of taking your hands off of it for a minute and saying, okay, where am I and what can I do with what I've been given today? That's where I'm at. I mean, and fortunately too, about 6-7 months ago now, I made a little bit of a pivot in my business. Didn't even realize that it was going to, fill in the gap for what's happening now. And so, I look at some things and I could get a little crazy, and I look over here and going, okay, I'm working on the biggest deal of my life, albeit pretty scary at a time like this because there's a lot of money at play. And I'm just sort of like, okay, you know what? If it all goes away tomorrow, Jonathan, I'll just start again and I'll build again. I've done it, once before. So I just sort of have learned I don't hold it too tightly. I'm learning that everything that life has given me, where before in years past, I would have held it with a white knuckle grip. And today I sort of just hold it with my palm upward and say, this is what I'm stewarding and I'm carrying today. Everything else is just sort of irrelevant.
I have heard this in many of these. This is, I think, number 22. And the theme, correct me if I'm wrong, the theme seems to be surrender, like surrender.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah. And interesting that you'd choose that term. I read a book about a year and a half ago now by Michael Singer. And here again, he's a Buddhist, has a totally different faith practice than me. But his whole book was about, he committed his life to not manipulating a situation to bring on an income, that he believed that solutions were coming toward him, and at the moment that they were needed, if he would focus on the energy of his faith and his relationship, that the solution would present itself. And so here I am as a Christian saying, okay, wait a minute, I want to take that same principle, somebody who has a totally different faith practice, and I want to bring it into what I've learned and what I've been taught and trained. I mean, I have a degree in Jewish history and Hebrew, for Pete's sake. And I don't know why, but I do. And apply that to how I live every day. And realizing that, I used to jump out and say, okay, God, get out of the way. I got this. I'm going to go figure out something. And I would just bang my head against the wall. And now I'm kind of in the surrender mode, which just says, you know what? Yeah, this over here is creating a little bit of stress, but it's not my stress to handle. I just need to focus. I just need to channel my energy to what I believe, make sure that everything's right in this way, and make sure that everything's right in this way with relationships, and then just let it happen. And
Bro.
I will tell you that that is a life-changing piece. Probably in the last month, I've not slept better.
You sound like Jim Rohn right now.
I'll tell you, Jonathan, it's a little surprising, truthfully. This is not the guy that I grew up with. Categorically, I'm not the same guy. And it just comes from recognizing that I never was in control. In fact, if anything, I was kind of being a speed bump to the blessings that were coming my way, because I was just, confounding the solution as it was coming to me. Now, I don't want to be Pollyanna about it either. I mean, there's real stress out here, and I know people who are in dire straits and really hurting. And I want to say to them, do everything that you can do to be a good steward of every second, every minute. But at the same time, take your hands off of it and take a breath and focus on where your energy and your power comes from, and then just sit back and watch. Everybody's trying to swing for the fences, and that is not the play of the day today. I think it's a matter of, do you have a process, and are you committing to the process, letting those outcomes happen?
You are eloquent this morning, my man. You're
Well,
bringing it.
you fire me up whenever you talk about this. And I will tell you too, and I don't want to be disrespectful for anybody, and I certainly don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But one of the great blessings of this thing that's happening right now is a lot of health and wealth coaches out there who had no business being in the business, are all scrambling for money and don't know how to survive and all sort of thing. Pay attention. Pay attention to who really has the word, the wisdom, the process, and those who are not panicking, because that tells you that there was something legit behind the face of their brand. There were so many people who were fake it till you make it and trying to run out and do the whole, wealth on Instagram thing. The folks who really have some semblance of a structure of what success really looks like. It may not be, commas and zeros. I mean, I'm no Russell Brunson, but I'm just saying, pay attention to the people who can deliver on what they say they can do, and they have multiple generations of people that they can show you who they've brought that success to. That's the kind of people that I want to pay attention to, who understand success is not a dollar sign. Success is a place, a peace of mind, a mental state. And when you do that, that's where you discover that money's flowing everywhere, even in the midst of insanity.
Bro, I recorded an episode, or it was up last week, I think. Oh no, it was this week's. I listened to it this morning. Money's infinite.
Yeah.
That's a weird thought that I didn't grow up with, because money was the reason we couldn't have things. And I'm realizing now, by getting around the right people, by getting my head right, by elevating my game, holy crap, there's just all this money, and all I have to do is reach out and grab it, put the right value. And I want to go back to something you said really quickly, because I think we glossed over it. And you guys really need to understand this. You're going to have to rewind this thing back a minute or two. But Kevin was talking about the surrender and letting things happen and letting go a little bit, not white knuckling it to the end. And what he's describing there is trust in God, trust in faith, and trust in power that you don't understand. And I think that ties with the money is infinite thing. You may not understand that today. I can say it, but I don't really understand it. But I'm going to spend the rest of my life figuring it out. But you got to have faith if you want to tap into that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you think about it, so many people right now that are struggling, or trying to figure out, kind of what's going to happen. They could get one check and all of a sudden they would feel okay. That's not a good place to be. If that one sort of microwave satisfaction solution makes everything okay. And I will tell you, the big thing for me is recognizing finally, and it took me several years to do it, is that if money is the focus, you're never going to have enough. If you focus on impact, you focus on giving, you focus on service, focus on just kind of being a good energy in your environment, then all of that other stuff is going to come at you. You've just got to kind of settle in and say, okay, I don't want to be about that stuff. And I take such a different approach on this than I used to, and it really is quite surprising. Because
what changed though? How did you make that switch?
A lot of it for me came out of, my backstory is, in fact, it was 10 years ago last month, actually, that I went through bankruptcy and divorce in the same 6-month period. And I was up against a wall. You think this season is kind of weird and crazy. that one was insanely weird, because all of a sudden, everything that had defined me, my job, my spouse, my family, my best friend also in the process, just vaporized. And all of a sudden I was left with nothing but me and the relationship that I had with God and the faith that I claimed, that I believed in all
Claimed.
my
What's
life.
that word there? Why did you use claim there?
Because it had never had to be real. I could just kind of go through the motions and do my thing. And my first wife and I were spectacular at faking church. I mean, we were Oscar winning at it. And no disrespect to her, we just we were playing the game. And it's not until you have everything stripped away that you have to look in the mirror and say, wait a minute, do I believe this stuff or not? Is it real or not? Is there peace by taking the responsibility off of me and placing it into God's hands and saying, okay, I'm going to do all I can do down here. I'll let you take care of the rest. And then just going, and that's what started the process now, a little over 10 years ago. And it's just been a continual renewing of just coming in and saying, every time I get out of whack, every time I get anxious, every time I get, sort of over my skis, so to speak, I have to come back and say, wait a minute, what's wrong here? And the answer is I'm trying to shift those seats back. And I have to just back up and say, no, this served me whenever I needed it most. So now I need to follow in this process, even when things feel like they're going really well. I mean, here's a perfect example. I'm in the middle of a new business venture, and 2 days before all this virus stuff broke out and the media went insane and all this kind of stuff, we were in front of a venture capital firm for a $2.5 million raise and got a yes.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden it's like, and they're still saying yes, they're just saying wait. And so we're kind of in that sort of limbo mode, and we're in this champagne cork popping, this is awesome, the business is taking off, it's Series A, it's a real thing, and it is a real thing. But at the same time, having to come back and say, okay, why did this happen? And the first response is, why did this happen to me?
Yeah.
And the right question is, what can I glean from this? And the real benefit, truthfully, is we needed to do a rebrand on the company. We needed to come back and put together some outbound marketing tools and things like that. If we'd gotten VC money, we would have taken off running. And instead, we wouldn't have had all of our artillery in place to where we are set for a massive growth cycle. So while everybody's figuring out their budgets out there in the world, we're back here kind of, building all the tools and the mechanisms and running like crazy to make sure that we are ready to go whenever the rest of the market, like one did yesterday, called us and says, let's go. And so it's, I've just determined that this is a good thing. I hate it for everybody else and what's going on, but right now life is pretty much firing on all cylinders. It's a good thing.
Unbelievable. So many people. I'm saying that because I came onto this call, Kevin, and this is no joke. I mean, I don't know if this is uplifting. I'm certainly not trying to brag, but I'm having such a great time right now. Like, I get to do these talks every day. I get to hang out with my family. I got to shift my priorities. I'm working out a little bit more, and I'm like, this is the best time ever. But of course, I don't think everybody feels that way, and I might be an a-hole for saying it, but it's like, I don't know. Yeah. I'm making the most of what I got.
Right. And I think that's the kick. I mean, do I have things that I'm worried about, things that I need to settle up? Of course I do. I mean, there's stuff flying around in a volatile business time. But the issue for me, and what I keep coming back to, is if those are the things that I focus on, all I'm going to do is attract more anxiety to myself. I'm just going to create reasons to worry rather than saying, you know what? As long as I'm being smart, as long as I'm being a good steward, as long as I'm being diligent, as long as I'm being honest, that's a big one, that I'm really brutally honest with myself of where things are and where they aren't. And then what can I do today to make sure that the next several hours that I have to be able to commit into my business and into my career and into this business venture, what can I do to make sure that I'm giving everything that I can possibly do responsibly, and then backing off and investing in my family, investing in, our life's culture and all the stuff that we want to do, and experience those things, embrace those things. And I just, Susie and I were out at the store yesterday morning, we went out for our guerrilla grocery experience early, 7 a.m., and I'm going, this is insane. And I have to say, I was walking through the store and all these people with, you know, in walking trash bags and hazmat looking stuff. And I'm like, I'm just going to choose not to be that afraid. And am I going to be careful? Am I going to wash my hands? Am I going to make sure that, you know, I'm disinfecting whatever? And I make sure that whenever I get in the car, I wipe down whatever I need to. Sure. I'm going to do all the things that are smart, but I refuse to let something that, in my opinion, is being overhyped and ginned up way more than it should be, to take me into a place of anxiety that steals my joy and steals my life.
Oh, the way you just put that is like they're wearing their, you know how people wear emotions on their sleeves? They're wearing their emotions. Oh
They
my God.
literally are. Yeah, they're wrapped in a plastic bag of anxiety.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'm with you, man, because I'm going out there and when I go to the grocery store, when I go wherever, I'm wearing a smile, I'm saying hello, and I'm not wearing a mask because I'm thinking like you. I'm going to do all those things, but I'm not going to sit here and I say, are you going to live like a lion or cower like a sheep? I'm going out like a freaking lion, and I don't really think I'm going out. So
Yeah, no, you know, I've kind of taken an approach of it. I mean, I'm not going to be reckless by any stretch, but honestly, I've been blessed beyond anything that I could possibly deserve. So if this is the end for me, okay, I don't want it. I mean, I'd fight it tooth and nail, but you know, why spend the energy of today worrying about something that 93% of the time never happens? I mean, you realize only about 7% of the stuff we ever worry about ever comes to existence. And so, you know, why I don't want to be cavalier, and I don't want to be, you know, sort of uncompassionate or not paying attention, because I know there are people whose lives are literally on fire. But I'm just saying that energy of worry and anxiety could be used so much more effectively if you just flip it for a second. You know, John Sheplack, a good friend of mine, always used to say, you know, you just have to flip the script, take the way it reads this way and just flip it the other way and say, okay, there's a quote that Gabrielle Bernstein always uses. It says, you know, can you imagine what it was like if this unexpected detour is actually a turn in the right direction? And I love that. Imagine that, you know, you're getting forced off the course you're seeing, and all of a sudden you realize you turned the right way, and then stuff starts to fall into place. It's learning to celebrate those little things every day, giving yourself the ability to have a win and appreciate it and enjoy it, and then come back and say, okay, now what's next?
that's evolved thinking, man. I don't think people living in the fear mindset but you know what? The folks listening to the dailybreadproject.com are evolved. And so we're just taking it to another level here, because I think most people will live in that scarcity mindset, and we're basically talking about abundance here.
Yeah.
We're
I mean, you think about it. I mean, we've known each other, you know, several years now. I was not in this place whenever we first met. I mean, I was on my journey, but I was still going, I don't know what I got to do. And I got to have a funnel. I got to have a list. I got to have all these marketing tools. And it was like, nope. I need to be excellent at what I know how to do, be truthful with integrity, walk in character, and absolutely be the thing that I say that I am about. You know, I mean, I love helping people make a crap ton of money, but at the same time, I'm not going to do it in a way that is disingenuous to me or to them. And so I just kind of look at that stuff and say, you know what, those who need to manipulate the world to get what they want, have at it, have a great time. I'm going to enjoy life while I do it.
That's what so many people are missing. And I have friends like that we've been on the journey together, and they're like, I'll finally slow down when, I'll do this when. And I'm like, there's no when. Today is when. This is all we have.
Yeah, no, they won't. You know, I say, I went through this with a business partnership that didn't go well, is that money changes everything, and the lack of money changes everything even more. I mean, you want to see the real character of somebody, take them through a process like this, and all of a sudden what is really inside somebody comes to the forefront. And so people who are truly at peace, more and more peace comes out. People who are at war inside, they go through some chaotic series like, you know, this season of life, and chaos comes out. And so, you know, you just kind of come back and you look at it and say, okay, who am I really? And is that okay with me? And if not, what's the gap? What's the evaluation? You know, we talked about this before, and we talked about, you know, total life blueprint stuff. Is this is where I am now, this is where I want to be, what's the process to get me from A to B, and then how do I go about that? and just, and it's not a militant thing. It's just sort of an awareness, and then being intentional about how you want to be and how you want to live your life. And everybody thinks money is going to solve their issue. It's not. It's going to make it worse. Everybody thinks that they're going to take time whenever they get success. No, they're not. You won't. I know more people who are going to go out of life on a gurney than will on a yacht. And I just think it's really sad.
I'm going out on a ski slip.
There we go. I'm with you.
At 90. At 105, I think.
There you go. No, I love it. I just think, I think we are in an amazing, incredible time, that if we'll stop for a second, step away from the news and the anxiety and all the garbage out there, and just say, what is really happening in my life? What's really happening in me? What's really happening in those interpersonal relationships, particularly the ones that you are now spending all this time with? If things aren't good, you got to figure out, how can I make them better? What can I do? Not how do I fix that other person? What can I do to be able to be the best other half of what I want this energy in this home to be like? That's when it gets real. And when you do that, all the business mess, it takes care of itself. It really does.
Yeah, none of that really. And at the end of the day, when you're living your purpose,
Mm-hmm.
when you're living your purpose, you will realize what is important. And so to me, like family, faith, fitness, and finances, I have not been messing with finances. I have to admit, like I haven't even thought about money this whole time. Probably a dumb thing. I don't know. But family, faith, and fitness right now, like that is all that I can think about. Doing homework with my boy in the morning.
Yeah.
Last night we did something new that I really loved. Rachel, I have Steve Seibold here, 177 Mental Toughness Habits. She let me read a chapter to her before bed. I'm like, God, my life is getting better every day. I'm like, I love this.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is awesome.
Like when you're living your purpose, there's no question everything's going to fall into place. And so we're coming up towards the end, and I want to make sure that, number one, I know what you're most excited about. And then number two, where people can find out about you. So first, what are you excited about right now? What's got your attention? What's the biggest opportunity that you're seeing?
Well, I mean, from a business standpoint, I'm part of a VR AR training company, so I'm loving all things digital, and it's a perfect time to have virtual anything. So I'm excited about that from a business standpoint. But honestly, from just purpose and life, I'm most excited about this season, this virus-ridden, media insane kind of stuff, is calling people to be real. It's calling people to show up as who they are. It's calling people to connect more, because we've taken connection for granted. And I think there's something about this that's going to strip away a lot of the superficiality of what life looked like in the hyper crazy world that we were in. And it's forcing us to pay attention to what's really important. And so I'm super excited about that. I'll be honest with you. A couple of things that I think would be useful if anybody's interested. Over on Facebook, you go to Mindset Engine with Kevin Breeding on Facebook. It's every day. There's kind of what I call devotions for business people, and it is 200 words. Takes all of a couple minutes to read. It's also on Instagram, Mindset Engine with Kevin Breeding. And it's just kind of how I think, and it is the journal of what I went through during my divorce and bankruptcy, and just sort of how to reinvent your mind and how to go through the process. It's not specifically about mindset. It's more about heart set, life set, mindset, everything.
They all play together. You
They
can't
do.
have one without the other. Mindset Engine with Kevin Breeding. Kevin, as we're coming to a close, anything else you want to wrap about? Anything else you want to say? Anything that we didn't touch on that we should have?
I would encourage somebody, especially if you're in the midst of panic today, find some way today, separate of anything about your business and getting your finances right. Find a neighbor, find somebody that is around you that you can serve them in a way safely, and go do it. Serve somebody. Next time you go to the grocery store, buy a few things extra and take it to somebody next door. Just anything you can do to get out of yourself and into somebody else's world as an influence of positivity. I think it's going to do you a world of good as well.
That is so beautiful, and a perfect way to wrap up the dailybreadproject.com is to quit worrying about yourself and do something for someone else.
Yep.
And that is what this show is about. That is why we're bringing you the positivity and the light every single day, 10 a.m., the dailybreadproject.com. Go look up Mr. Kevin Breeding. You can find him, Mindset Engine. You can find him on Instagram. You can find him on Facebook. If not, hit me up and I'll lead you right to him. I know exactly where to find the guy. Thank you guys for tuning in. Kevin, thank you for bringing the light today.
Mm.
And I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day.
You as well, man. Thanks so much.
Now.